The White House just became ground zero for truth. President Trump gathered the journalists who've bled for their reporting. Andy Ngo, James Klug, Katie Daviscourt, Julio Rosas, Brandy Cruz. These aren't TV talking heads. They're the ones who took the beatings, captured the footage, exposed the terror. Andy Ngo described bleeding from his eyes and ears after Antifa's mob attack. Klug testified about witnessing cops assaulted and buildings firebombed. FBI Director Kash Patel and DHS Secretary Noem sat there taking notes, then promised total war on the terror network. Attorney General Pam Bondi declared the crackdown is on. After years of media denial, the president just put Antifa's victims at the head table. The hunters are now the hunted, so do not look away. And while Antifa terrorists hide behind masks, destroying skin and bones with their violence, Americans are taking control of their health. A meta-analysis of 23 controlled trials proved collagen supplements deliver real improvements in skin hydration and elasticity. That's why I use Ageless Multi-Collagen. It supercharges your body with 5 types of premium collagen. Since starting daily collagen, I've noticed smoother skin, fewer fine lines, and stronger joints. Don't let these mask cowards age you with stress. Fight back with self-care. Grab Ageless Multi-Collagen for 51% off at healthwithgary.com. Plus, get free VIP coaching, free shipping, and their amazing ebook. That's healthwithgary.com. You'll find it linked down below. Now, we're learning. We just posted this on X 36 minutes ago. The Guardian just ran cover for Antifa again. In their latest hit piece, they mocked Kristi Noem for comparing Antifa to ISIS, Hamas, and MS-13, calling her extreme. But here's what they left out. Antifa burns cities, attacks police, and silences dissent. Organized, funded, and violent. Now they're spinning that. All the witnesses at the Trump Antifa roundtable were conservative influencers who present no evidence. Translation, they don't like that real journalists are exposing the less militant, secret street army. This is not reporting, it's propaganda. The media protects Antifa because Antifa protects them. This is the hit that just came out of The Guardian. Oh, yes, and The Guardian has attacked me in the past. President Trump in the White House today. Total media blackout on this. President Trump holding the White House roundtable on Antifa. Noem compared them to ISIS and Hamas, yet CNN and MSNBC said nothing. Why? Because admitting it's news would expose the lie that Antifa is just activists. Covering it means conceding Trump was right, so they bury it. Silence is the new censorship, and after Trump roasted their ratings, calling CNN dying like a dog, maybe they were just too butthurt to cover it. Listen.
Very pathetic.
You ever see their ratings are terrible?
They are terrible.
MSNBC is dying, and CNN is dying like a dog.
And
poor CNN, they're so pathetic.
It is very pathetic.
You ever see their anchors in the evening? That nobody ever heard of them. Where do these people come? I could take anybody off the street in Washington, D.C. that do a better job.
Yeah, and it's not hard to show what's going on these days. You literally have an iPhone and you can post it on X.
They don't believe in the star system, It's just one of those things, right?
Oh, my goodness, man, that's just one of the moments from this meeting. OSINT defender, a close-up of the note that Secretary of State Marco Rubio handed President Donald Trump during his roundtable earlier at the White House, which read very close, "We need you to approve a Truth Social post soon so you can announce a deal first." We need you to approve a Truth Social post. Nice. Here is Donald Trump. This is the moment handed a note by Marco Rubio during the event. He tells reporters, "I was given a note saying we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me very quickly." Really?
Covered.
Go ahead, please.
Well, they're smart, but they're not smart enough. Oh, my microphone's broken. They're smart, but they're not smart enough. They have been covered by these liberal cities for so many years. And that's why we're all working with Treasury, with all these different departments to find the criminal conspiracy.
Okay. I'm just giving... Yeah, I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly, so I will take a couple of more questions.
All right, let's check in real quick. I want to see if we can find the Truth Social post here. I think I've got Truth Social on this device. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Yes, I do. Am I logged in? I don't know. sign in to True Social. All right, is it going to work? Well, now I got to figure out my password. Come on now. Which email address did I use? Oh, it's not on this phone. Oh, maybe. Wait. Oh, wait. Nope. Darn it. Okay. Todd, maybe you could find that True Social post. Either way, let's get back to what was going on. I thought I had logged in right away, but maybe not. Okay. Donald Trump handed the note. New at the White House. Here is a group for the round table.
Tactics. Patriots, you guys, today we are at the White House for an Antifa roundtable, talking about Antifa, their tactics, basically personal experiences for the entire table. So we have a bunch of patriots here, a bunch of amazing journalists here to share their personal experiences with the president and this administration. It's gonna be a good time. Patriots, you guys, today we are at the White House for an Antifa roundtable, talking about Antifa, their tactics.
Let's keep going. What else? Let's get to the meat. Okay, here is Katie Daviscourt focusing on ICE.
I'm an investigative journalist from Seattle. I work for the Post Millennial alongside Andy No and Jack Posobiec. I have been infiltrating Antifa cells in Seattle and Portland for the past decade. I know their inner workings, and Antifa uses extreme political violence to crush the civil rights of their political enemies and believes that violence is justified by any means necessary. But today, I want to focus on what is happening in Portland at the ICE facility. I've been covering this for the past 4 months, and this is a call out to corporate media who has completely ignored this story or has falsely reported on it. This is nothing short other than a sustained attack on the United States, which is being supported by Democratic elected officials. The Portland Police Bureau has completely abandoned several blocks outside the ICE facility, giving away their jurisdiction to a terrorist group who has spent the past 4 months harassing, assaulting, and intimidating anyone they perceive to be against their cause. Not only have federal agents been relentlessly assaulted for more than 100 consecutive days, black-clad anarchist militants concealing their identities behind black facial coverings have been assaulting reporters just for trying to cover their crimes. Today, I am sitting here with a black eye and a concussion after being violently hit in the face with a metal pole while reporting outside the ICE facility just this past week. After the attack, I immediately went to three Portland police officers who refused to detain the suspect. I took the time to chase down the suspect in the streets, had her held for 35 minutes. I was waiting for Portland police to come, and they never came. I'm an investigative journalist from Seattle.
They're just letting him go. They're letting him go. Here's that post. We found it. This is the True Social post that President Trump was approving about the, he says, I'm proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of the peace plan. This means that all the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first steps towards strong, durable, and everlasting peace. So that was what they needed to approve. President Trump getting the note in the middle of the Antifa meeting. Here is Andy No as he is walking up to the White House. He's been a guest here before.
How are you feeling, Andy?
It feels a bit surreal.
Yeah, what do you want to most tell the president today?
I want to express gratitude. Yeah, because I think an administration has a million things to do, and even though this is very important, there's also other very important things. But the fact that his administration is prioritizing this, I have a lot of appreciation and gratitude for them.
How are you feeling, Andy?
Oh, I got to get back there. I have got the itch. Andy No, for his anti-Antifa stance and support for Trump, encounters Portland Antifa and gets treated to plenty of milkshakes. This is how they treated him. And now he's at the White House treating them. Here is more from Katie Daviscourt. You know, I saw she looked like she had a black eye, and I wasn't sure. And then she confirmed it. This is where this is a couple days ago when she was talking about it.
That's good.
Good.
Katie Davis-Court has been on the ground covering Antifa and is a post-millennial reporter. All right, your eye looks better. How's it feeling, Katie?
It definitely still hurts, but it is healing a little bit, so that's good.
Good. So the Portland Police Department is blaming you for getting jabbed in the eye.
Yeah, can you believe this? So not only did Portland police refuse to detain my assault suspect that I hand-delivered to them, they submitted court testimony in a court of law blaming me for my own assault and falsely accusing me of being a counter-protester. I have taken this as a declaration of war against myself, and it's a battle that I am determined to win. Portland police will have you believe that they have this situation under control and that federal intervention is not needed, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. The truth is that Portland police has had zero ground presence outside of ICE since late June until now. They have abandoned the citizens of Portland, leaving them to fend for themselves against domestic terrorists who are assaulting, maiming, who really actually want to kill their political opponents. But most importantly, I think is worth mentioning is Portland police has abandoned their brothers and sisters in law enforcement, the men and women of ICE and FPS who have faced relentless attacks for the past 4 months.
Portland is a war zone. Chicago's a war zone. Here's President Trump talking about the epidemic of left-wing violence. Antifa-inspired terror.
Riotous mob, the epidemic of left-wing violence and Antifa-inspired terror has been escalating for nearly a decade. At universities, Antifa has organized riotous mobs to attack campus speakers. I see it all the time. And these are agitators, anarchists, and they're paid. And you'll find that out. You'll be finding it out very soon. You should see what we have on these people. These are bad people. These are people that want to destroy our country. We're not going to let it happen. They've used armed gangs to assault local police in cities nationwide, and they've attacked journalists reporting on their crimes. So the journalists that report on their crimes, don't worry, you're very safe. I hope that's not going to turn you around, but they have been very threatening to people, but we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us, and that includes the people that fund them. The epidemic of left-wing violence and Antifa.
Oh, here's more from the president.
And support. Under the last administration, the Department of Justice targeted faithful Catholics, Christians, and patriotic parents as domestic extremists. They said, oh, they're extreme because they believe in God. They're extreme because they go to a Catholic church, or evangelicals, where everybody was under the gun. Unless you are a really bad, sick person, then they left you alone. Under the Trump administration, we're going after Antifa criminals, and all who fund and support their campaigns are in serious trouble. And we have a lot of records already, a lot of surprises, a lot of bad surprises. It's people that you would never think. Under the last administration, the Department of...
Okay, let's keep going. Happening today at the White House, the president hosting the round table. Here's more from Pam Bondi.
We've seen, as you made clear, Antifa is a domestic left-wing terrorist organization. We've seen them on video for years because they wanted to be seen and they got away with it. They beat journalists, they attack courthouses, they attack police stations, they dox and assault our law enforcement officers. The Biden administration let them commit these crimes with total impunity for years. So did Democrat leaders like Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson. Last week, independent journalist Nick Sorter was arrested just for protecting himself against Antifa. I saw it online and I called Nick. I couldn't believe what happened. He did all this just trying to save our American flag from being burned. He was pushed down and assaulted, yet the local police arrested Nick, not the Antifa thugs who did this to him. Antifa feels empowered to operate in the open because weak Democrats have turned a blind eye to their actions. Their hatred for President Trump and for law and order agendas fuels their violence. We've seen more than 1,000% increase in attacks against our ICE agents since January 20th. Secretary Noem is out there fighting for you firsthand to keep our federal officers safe, to keep our federal buildings safe, and we're not going to have it anymore, these thugs. We saw what's happening in Portland and Chicago, and you saw what happened in Dallas. No longer. This is not activism, it's anarchy. We can't and we will not let masked terrorists burn our buildings, attack our law enforcement, and intimidate our communities. Under your leadership, President Trump, we're deploying the full might of the federal law enforcement to crack down on Antifa and other domestic terrorist organizations led by Stephen Miller. And Stephen, thank you for everything you're doing. Last week, I issued a memo ordering our federal law enforcement agents, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals, and ATF to protect ICE officers from Antifa and other radical left-wing violence. Director Patel has been going non-stop. He and Deputy Attorney General Blanche were in Chicago yesterday. While Secretary Noem was in Portland, we are around this country fighting against this domestic terrorism. We had Apple and Google take down the ICE block apps. Hope they continue to comply with that. It's threatening the safety of our federal law enforcement officers. We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart. Thanks to your bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer tolerate their unhinged violence.
Yeah, baby. Antifa going down hard. Wow. Here's Secretary Noem on Antifa.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for hosting today and focusing on Antifa and the terrorists that they are. Let's not make any mistake. These individuals do not just want to threaten our law enforcement officers, threaten our journalists, and the citizens of this country. They want to kill them. Their agenda is to destroy the American people and our way of life, and this president is standing in their way. He is stopping them from bringing their death and their destruction to the individual citizens in this country that just want to raise their kids and their grandkids in peace and in safety. I want to also thank everyone around this table for being so bold and so brave, for standing up and recognizing the threat that Antifa is to our way of life. By recognizing how advanced they are, how sophisticated their networks are, how they've infiltrated our entire country, and we're seeing them play out with their tactics from city to city, and how they have built out their funding mechanisms. And, sir, I also want to thank our Treasury Secretary for his work in getting to the bottom of these funding mechanisms and individuals who are perpetuating this violence on our American cities. Well, thank you, Mr. President.
Let's keep going here. We got to find, Kash Patel. Brandon Cruz, we'll get to that. Here's more from the president. Here's Andy No. Julio Rosas on Newsmax. We don't play Newsmax clips here. Where is the... Here it is. Okay, James Klug. Check this out.
CNN, a handful of those other outlets. Mr. President, thank you so much for having us all here to bring attention to this matter. You did mention MSDNC, CNN, a handful of those other outlets that have been lying about, various things, but especially what ICE, the brave men and women over at ICE have been doing. I was talking to Antifa members in Portland the other day, and a lot of these people genuinely believe, they buy these lies, and they genuinely believe that they're fighting against literal Nazis and not brave men and women that are putting their lives on the line to basically, enforce basic immigration law, right? That everyone seemed to agree with up until maybe a few years ago, a handful of years ago. So once again, thank you so much for having me. My name is James Klug. While my primary job is traveling around the country, having conversations with Americans about various political topics and issues, I have had a lot of run-ins with Antifa over the last 5 years. And I do think that Antifa is a primary reason why many conservatives are afraid to go out and protest and make their voices heard and maybe bring friends and family to a demonstration and exercise their First Amendment right, because they are literally deathly afraid. And I talk to these people all the time. They're afraid of militants showing up in black bloc and hurting them and their families. And, I've personally witnessed Antifa assaulting hundreds of police officers. I've witnessed them firebombing police departments and federal property. I've witnessed them making death threats against federal agents, police officers, journalists. I think I've witnessed every single person here, maybe not personally, but I've seen them get, hunted down and attacked. And so, this is a group that is responsible for a good percentage, if not a majority, of the violent riots in 2021 and 2020, when Democrat mayors had a kind of a hands-off approach with these left-wing militants. Just as a quick reminder for everybody, we're talking about dozens of murders that happened in those riots. We're talking about billions of dollars of damage to property and communities all over the country. We're talking about thousands of officer injuries. So this isn't just like some little thing that they're, they punch a journalist here and there. No, they're responsible for a lot of damage and a lot of people that have, unfortunately died, and basically suppressing people's voices, And so what I did want to talk about is, to get this footage, almost every single person in the room here, to get this footage, you have to go undercover because you are at risk of being beaten or worse. You have to go undercover. You have to film low key to capture them committing crimes. This is stuff that the mainstream media was not doing and has not been doing. They'll show when Antifa is maybe, it's a little bit more peaceful, and they'll show when it's more mellow, but they'll remove the cameras when things get violent and it's actually dangerous to be here. And I have personally witnessed legacy media vans showing up at a riot 300 yards away, getting out of the vehicle, filming for 30 seconds, saying something like, fiery but mostly peaceful, packing up, and to add insult to injury, you have Democrat politicians that are saying, it's just an idea, right? That's all this is. So it's just an idea. After all of this chaos, it's just an idea. Well, that idea has threatened to kill me and many of my friends that are here today. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for bringing this to the forefront. And it's definitely making a big change. Really appreciate you.
These guys are heroes, man. These guys are heroes on the front lines. Here's President Trump. He was talking about the deal in the Middle East. It's going to happen. Good chance of happening. Looks like he's going to be maybe going there towards the end of the week. In fact, I did get a call from a colleague at the White House, and they did say that they were going to be potentially traveling with the White House there. So stay tuned for more information on that. Here's Andy No. Speaking about the violent attack he once faced while covering Antifa in Portland, not the milkshake attack. Okay, this is different.
And that I saw, and I was assigned to cover the election night demonstrations. Well, the elections night protests turned to riots, 3 days of violent rioting in Portland, and it was the first time that I saw groups dressed in black with their faces covered. This was 4 years before COVID. Some of them were waving the black flag of anarchism, some the red flag of Marxism. And within seconds, they would ravage one street to another, to another, to another. And the next day, I would read the legacy media, which I still read at that time and looked forward to, and I looked up to those journalists. And I was really shocked to see that the narrative was that these, in my view, anti-democratic political violence was legitimate acts of protest because people were concerned about racism or all these other lies. And so for the next 4 years, I just continued going out with my video camera. I thought, look, people can ignore what I write because of spin, but videos can quite speak for themselves. And in 2019, it led to me nearly losing my life. I was covering another Antifa protest turned riot. At that point, had been routine in Portland, and then I was ambushed in a mob beating. And I had never been in a fight. I didn't even realize that I was being assaulted until seconds in. And the punches came from everywhere on my head and my face, and I was bleeding out of my eyes and ears, and then they threw all the drinks in my eyes to humiliate me further and to laugh at me. And I was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance and CT scan, and I had subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is bleeding in the brain. I nearly died. And after surviving that, the reporting that I saw in liberal media it seemed to suggest that I had deserved it because they branded me far right. And some even went so far as to suggest that I maybe faked my injuries. A BuzzFeed reporter asked for my medical records, which I did provide, but this felt so, it's like because I didn't die in that attack, there was another round of people who wanted to finish me off. And I was assigned.
The media is disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Here's the face. Antifa mugshots. This is why they wear masks. Look at these people. The faces of evil. One after another. These people look like they are just soaking in demons. Here's the FBI Director, Kash Patel.
Go after criminals. Mr. President, the American people gave you a sweeping mandate in your victory in this election cycle, and they demanded safety and security for our citizens. And your administration, with your leadership, has provided us with the resources that we need, which is a whole of government approach to go after criminals absolutely everywhere, not just outside of this country, but within this country. And that takes a whole of government approach. The interagency seated up here with the Department of Homeland Security, our Attorney General, our Deputy Attorney General, and your White House staffers, including Stephen Miller's leadership, has allowed us to go out there and map out these networks. What we are doing at the FBI is simple. It does not require rocket science. We are following the money. Money never lies. And that's what it's going to take to bring down this network of organized criminal thugs, gangbangers, and yes, domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. They are harming everyday citizens in every single one of our communities. And the folks you see here on the right and left, they're some of the bravest men and women we have today. They're reporting the stories live time because the mainstream media won't cover it. They're putting their lives on the line. They're standing up for the flag. The least we can do is stand up for them. So you have my thanks. I read more of your stories than I do theirs because you guys are putting out the truth. And we deserve a country where you are protected as equally as they are. We, in this FBI, will go after with the criminals with a vengeance. We will not rest until we find every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have. And I want to echo the Secretary's comments on Scott Bessent, who's allowing us to map out these networks through their financial criminal activities, which has been going on for decades. And I would like to remind the American public, they built this diseased temple of corruption over decades. And in 8 short months, Mr. President, you have crippled their foundation because of your leadership here, because of the interagency, because of people like Deputy Attorney General Blanche, and because of Attorney General Pam Bondi's fearless leadership to go after criminals wherever they are. They will not be able to hide. They were able to hide and conspire with prior administrations, and we are exposing their corruption from within. And we will go to every single city in this country under Operation Summer Heat and the other operations we are doing at the FBI to bring these criminals to justice. We will arrest every single one of them from whatever perch you sit in, private or public, no matter how your goal or your ambition is. It will be crushed by the Constitution because the American people deserve law and order, and that's what we're going to give you. Mr. President,
around with the Constitution, Cash. Go for it. And we got some breaking news coming in right now. This just in, MSNBC actually reporting hundreds, if not thousands, of protesters in Chicago
of downtown.
Right now.
Look at this. This is Michigan Avenue in the middle of downtown Chicago. Here, too, hundreds, if not thousands of people. Look at this. This is Michigan Avenue.
And look at those signs. Every one of those signs was made in a print shop. This is an organized, paid protest, no doubt going to end up in violence and fire tonight in Chicago. Michigan Avenue right now, the Magnificent Mile, under siege as President Trump deploys the National Guard to the streets of Chicago. They're on their way to Broadview right now. The Texas Guard, Governor Abbott sending them in. This is just happening. I just got word of this. Also, waves of paid protesters storming the streets of Chicago for liberation, waving Mexican flags What do we want? Legalization. When do we want it? Now. Yeah, so this is what's happening in Chicago. No ICE in Chicago. We want legalization? Okay, well, send the buses.
We rising up, won't take it no more. We rising up, won't take it no more. All right, y'all, make some noise. Make some noise if you're fighting for Chicago. Make some noise if you're fighting
This
for
goes on.
liberation.
This clip goes on for 4 minutes, folks. Look at these signs. I'm just going to skip through it. This is the 2-minute mark. Stop the Trump agenda. It goes on and on and on. Demanding the National Guard out. Look at all these people. Michigan Avenue, under siege. Here's more. Oh my goodness. Peaceful, happening now. Chicago's peaceful chaos on display. Hundreds clog Michigan Avenue demanding change. But somehow it's always the same story. Block traffic and zero accountability.
Lawn is Michigan Avenue. I'm walking through downtown Chicago right now. There are hundreds, if not thousands of people out here. And they're not happy about what's happening on the streets of Chicago. Armed federal law enforcement, not just those National Guard troops from Texas, but the Border Patrol, ICE, other federal agencies on the streets of Chicago taking people indiscriminately off the streets, not because they're the worst of the worst, but because they're...
Yeah, another paid mouthpiece. Anti-Trump protests making way down Michigan Avenue. Oh, my God. This is not going to end well in Chicago. I think we've got an aerial shot here. Let's see. Look at this shot. Nick Sortor 16 minutes ago, and Nick was actually at the White House today at the Antifa meeting roundtable that we're covering. This just in, countless anti-ICE protesters taking over the streets of Chicago. Maybe Chicago should be the next city I visit to expose. Come on in. Look at it. Here's the helicopter view. Thousands of protesters clogging the streets. This is not going to end well. Protests at this hour often turn violent and fiery, not mostly peaceful. No doubt Antifa embedded within that mob, about to turn Chicago into a war zone on Michigan Avenue. This is happening right now. We're going to keep tracking this throughout the show. Let's check in. I think we have one more segment here from the Antifa meeting. Julio Rosas. Let's see. This is, this is not from the meeting, but this is Ben Bergquam, a friend of the show. Unbelievable footage. I witnessed Portland PD giving advice to Antifa terrorists on how to avoid federal troops being allowed into the city after the temporary restraining order against President Donald Trump was upheld by the activist judge.
I'm sorry. Was granted. It's okay. It's all right. Okay, if you don't want to listen. Real quick. So the judge granted the TRO. I'm the one who got stabbed in 2020. I hope he gets stabbed again. You ain't got the balls to do it, though. That's a death threat. You ain't got the balls to do it. That's a death threat. You ain't got the balls to do it, so keep yapping your mouth like a death threat. Why don't you go arrest me? It's harder for the judge or the arrest me for protesting in the street. We have a good reason why we actually need them. So that's why we're asking people to get out of the street. Is it illegal to get out of the street? They could arrest you, but we're asking you guys voluntarily, let's just get on the sidewalks. Because if a car comes through and hits somebody, it's a better way for the government to say we need the feds.
And we do definitely need the feds. We definitely need the feds in here. Because your mayor is terrible. It's giving you terrible orders. You guys should be able to work with ICE.
Jeez, man. What the hell is going on here? Okay, we got the Klug clip. We've got Brandy Cruz. Can't play that one. Newsmax doesn't let us play their clips. I think we got it all. Yeah. But now that breaking news, that last minute breaking news. Here, more video from Chicago. Massive protests taking place right now.
Down, down with deportation! Down, down with deportation! Down, down with deportation! Down, down with deportation!
Well, what they need to do is just bring the buses and round them all up. This is only the beginning, folks. It's going to be a long night. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So for 15 years, independent journalists documented Antifa's terror while the establishment called them conspiracy theorists. Today, those battered truth tellers sat in the White House as the president declared war on their attackers. Andy No's blood, James Klug's testimony, Katie Daviscourt's 4 months covering Portland's ICE siege. It all matters now. Kash Patel promised to hunt every donor, every funding source, every organization bankrolling these masked terrorists, and all roads lead to George Soros. DHS Secretary Noem giving Portland an ultimatum: control Antifa or watch federal agents quadruple. The days of milkshakes and mob beatings are over. However, in the streets of Chicago, they have not yet got that memo. But the hunters have become the hunted, and the federal government that once targeted parents as extremists now aims its full force at actual domestic terrorists. So here's the question of the day. Should Antifa, should it be completely dismantled, or should they be allowed to run roughshod in the streets? Yes or no? Drop your answer below. You can support real journalism. Check out our American Badass merch collection. Let's show these cowards what courage looks like.